And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to discuss the Browns' comeback win versus the Ravens on Sunday. Another great game from Sunday. I did have the Ravens in the spread pool. They were giving the Browns 6.5. And listen, it did look good. It did look good for a while. But then the Browns, they just slowly kept on, chipping away at that lead. Lamar Jackson throws a pass that gets tipped up in the air and is intercepted by, I believe, Greg Newsome for the pick six, tied the game. And the Browns ultimately won the game on a Dustin Hopkins game-winning field goal. And, that was a big win for the Browns. And listen, this is a team that has gone into Baltimore and beaten the Ravens. They did it back in... What was it? Was it 2021 they went in and did that? I believe so. But yeah, I mean, going in, the Ravens looked like, they were one of the best teams in football, and they still are. Obviously, they were coming off of a 37-3 win over the Seahawks. And the Browns, their defense has been very good this year. Deshaun Watson, though, hasn't been great. He has, on the season, 7 touchdowns to 4 picks. And he's missed a few games. But, they started off the game with a pick 6. Literally, the second play of the game was a pick 6. Deshaun Watson, threw a pick to Kyle Hamilton, and he took it to the house. So already the Browns are down to start the game. Then the Browns punted. Ravens went down the field to go up 14-0. Browns answered with a field goal. Ravens kicked the field goal. So it was 17-3 after the first quarter. And then the rest of the way, the Browns outscored the Ravens 30-14. 30-14. In the second quarter, the Browns kicked a field goal. Ravens had a field goal that was blocked. Which led to another field goal by the Browns. Then Lamar Jackson threw a pick. Browns turned it over on downs. So the score at the half was 17-9. Then the Ravens scored a field goal, a touchdown, to start the second half to make it 24-9. Lamar Jackson connected with Odell Beckham Jr. On a slant route, I believe, for 40 yards. And Odell took it to the house. So that was a classic OBJ play. So it was 24-9. Then the Browns answered with a touchdown of their own, and that drive went for 17. That went 17 plays, 75 yards, 10 minutes. Time of possession. Kareem Hunt, 3-yard touchdown run. Then the Browns got the 2-point conversion. Deshaun Watson ran that in. Ravens punted. Then in the fourth quarter, Ravens scored a touchdown. They went 7 plays, 12 yards. And that ended with a Gus Edwards 1-yard touchdown. So that put them up 2 scores. And I thought at that point, the Ravens, I think they should hold on to this game, right? Browns then answered with a touchdown of their own. Deshaun Watson connected with Elijah Moore for his first Browns touchdown, I believe, to make it 31-24. And then Lamar Jackson throws a pick 6 to Greg Newsome. And the Browns actually missed the extra point. So they were down 1. Ravens punted on their next drive. 6 plays, 16 yards, almost 3.5 minutes of time of possession. Browns then went on the final 5 minutes just about of the game, went 12 plays, 58 yards, got into field goal range, and Dustin Hopkins connected with a 40-yard field goal to win the game, and the Browns win 33-31. Lamar Jackson in this game, 2 interceptions. They were very costly in this game. The Ravens, they sometimes have a problem with turnovers and on the offensive side of the ball, and that was the case. Lamar Jackson went 13-23, 223 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He was actually their leading rusher. Ravens only ran the ball for 106 yards. Lamar had 41 yards on the ground. Keaton Mitchell, the rookie, 34 yards. Gus Edwards, 24. They both had rushing touchdowns in this game. Yeah, and then Zay Flowers was their leading receiver, 5 receptions, 73 yards. Odell Beckham Jr. only had 1 reception, but it was the 40-yard touchdown that he had. Mark Andrews had 2 receptions for 44 yards. But, yeah, it was a sloppy game for the Ravens. They allowed the Browns to come back in to the game. Browns capitalized on, on those turnovers, and they won the game. And Deshaun Watson didn't have his best game. I mean, 20 of 34, 213 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Jerome Ford had 107 yards on the ground. Watson had 37. Kareem Hunt had 32 with a touchdown. Amari Cooper, 6 receptions for 98 yards. David Njoku had 6 for 58. Elijah Moore, 5 for 44 and a touchdown. But, yeah, I mean, that was a big win for the Browns. That gets them to 6-3. They're now a game back in the division. With the AFC North right now, you got the Ravens at 7-3. The Steelers and the Browns are both a half game back, and the Bengals 5-4 in last place. And it sets up for a monster game on Thursday because now you got both teams coming off of a loss. The Ravens losing and the Bengals losing, and it's going to be a tough game for both teams. The Bengals are once again, it looks like they're going to be without T. Higgins again on offense, which is a huge loss. And the Ravens, this is what I'm talking about. They're inconsistent. They have games where they are just, you're like, what happened? And this game I think falls on Lamar Jackson. I mean, the pick six, the offense just really couldn't get anything going after, scoring 17 points in the first quarter. Like I said, after that, you got outscored 30-14. That's not good enough. So, again, and I remember, a couple weeks ago, I had that debate, with the Ravens fans, talking about, me kind of disrespecting them. But this is what I mean. They still are a team that they look so good, and then there are times they just look bad. And they were inconsistent in the game. I mean, they looked like they were going to destroy the Browns, but they let the Browns hang around. Pick six. I mean, and they lost the game. And now the Browns, they find themselves one game back of first place. And this is with your quarterback not playing great. And Deshaun Watson actually had to lead the game at one point. P.J. Walker came in. And it was funny because I was like, oh no, now the Browns actually kind of have a better shot of winning this game. But the Browns are a good team. They are definitely a good team. It's just, for me personally, ultimately, I think with how Deshaun Watson has played this year, if he doesn't, play up to how he has played in the past, I don't really think this team is going to go that far this year. How they are going to is going to be off the back of their defense. And they have a good running game. Even without Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford have done a nice job. Obviously, Amari Cooper's had a good year. Elijah Moore catching that touchdown, that was big. They traded Donovan Peoples-Jones to the Lions. So, you got Elijah Moore, taking a step up now. And you also have Tillman, the rookie. Njoku is a good tight end. So they have weapons. They do have a good team. I just think right now, with how Deshaun Watson has played, that is ultimately what is going to hold this team back. But as for the Ravens, like the Bills yesterday, the Ravens kind of beat themselves in this game. You had a 14-point lead after the first quarter, and you let the other team come back. That's inexcusable. That's inexcusable. And now you got a tough game against the Bengals, who are also coming in after a loss. That is a big game for both teams. A huge game. And finally, we're going to have a good Thursday night matchup. And we'll see how it goes. But, the Ravens beat themselves. Lamar Jackson has to be blamed because, again, turning the ball over, that's been an issue for him. That has definitely been an issue for Lamar. And they got to figure it out. But, I'm not going to hit the panic button with the Ravens. If this team is healthy, if Lamar is healthy, this team is going to make the playoffs. This team's going to make the playoffs. And right now they are, first place in the division. But they gotta be careful because you got the Steelers and the Browns right behind you. Actually, you got every AFC North team playing each other this week. You got the Bengals and the Ravens playing each other on Thursday, and then you got the Browns and the Steelers playing each other on Sunday in Cleveland. And that's a big game for both teams. Let me just say, this year has been a lot of fun though. Like, you look at how congested that wild card is this year in the AFC. It's unbelievable. And this division, the AFC North, it's unbelievable. Every team is over 500. It's gonna be a dogfight. It's gonna be a dogfight in the dog pound on Sunday. See what I did there? Between the Steelers and the Browns. And right now I kind of lean towards Cleveland because the Steelers. I mean, listen, both offenses are not very good. But I'd take the Browns offense over the Steelers right now. I just would. As much as I don't trust both offense. I mean, the Steelers already beat them this year. But I think now that you're in Cleveland, I think the Browns, they get the split here. Right now I think they're 4-point favorites. But we'll see. I mean, the Steelers, when people count them out, they play well. And it's crazy how they're 6-3. Because you would say, like, oh, there's no way. But they are. They're 6-3 as well. The Browns, let's see what they could do. I mean, like, if you could get better play out of Deshaun Watson and he could stay healthy, this team could beat anybody. But right now, I feel like that is what's going to ultimately hold them back. And that's something Browns fans probably don't want to hear because he was the guy they brought in because he was supposed to take them to the next level. And I don't think he's doing that. He's not doing that. It's your defense that's taking you to the next level. So, big game on Sunday against the Steelers. Ravens, let's see if they can get back on the right track against the Bengals on Thursday, which is going to be a very tough game for both teams. So, we'll see how it goes. But with that, we are going to take our final break of the show. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about Josh Dobbs as him and the Vikings continue to roll. Dobbs winning his first start as a Viking after his, getting thrown into the fire immediately against Atlanta last week and leading the Vikings to a win. The Vikings just dominated this game against the Saints, although the Saints did make it interesting towards the end, but Vikings were able to come out with a win. So when we come back from our final break of the show, we will discuss that game and Josh Dobbs' performance as well. So stick around, and we will be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.